So to get started with the flowers, you're gonna need about 8 pieces of this tissue paper. I'm gonna start off with a red one first, and then I'm gonna show you how to do a combination of both. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it just depends on how thick you want your flower to be. So we're just gonna do an 8 layer flower. If you want to make it bigger, you can actually recut the size to a bigger shape and make your flowers bigger, but it just depends on you. So you have 8 sheets here, and then you're going to take the longer side of your rectangle, and this is the side that you're going to start folding accordion style. So you start folding it up and down, and then up, and then down again, and up, and down. So until you run out of that paper. So it kind of looks like a little fan. And right towards the center part, like right there, this is where the little pipe cleaner is going to come into play, and you're going to just kind of grab it, make sure you have a nice long end here, fold it, and you're going to twist it really close to the tissue paper so that it can hold it into place, and just twist it. But make sure this is not moving around. So it's got to be nice and firm on there. And now we're going to get the tips here cut into a pointy end. So just both sides here. I'm going to do that side first and then the other side. And now you're going to go ahead and start removing or pulling apart each one of the layers one at a time, and just be careful at this step because you're working with tissue paper, and the tissue paper is very fragile, so it can tear easily. Just go ahead and pull one at a time until you do one side first, all 8 layers. So it should look something like this. And then you're going to move over to the side. Same thing, kind of open it up and then start with one layer at a time. Make sure that the first layer comes up all the way so that you have enough room for the other layers to come up as well. And it can be nice and full. So you just keep doing that for the other side. And there's your beautiful flower. Now I'm going to go ahead and make a combination flower with one of each of these layers. So I'll have it combined with the white, and I'm just going to go one at a time of each color. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. So once you have your 8 sheets, make sure they're nice and even, and you're going to start folding them in accordion style as well. So you'll do up, down, up, down and up here. And I think that's it. I don't have any more to turn over. If you have a small space here, you can just always turn it over and just keep going on that same direction you were going. But here, this is where the pipe cleaner is going to go. So we're going to take one of these, and again, make sure you bend it here and make it nice and tight towards the center of that strip. Make sure it's not moving around. And then you're going to take your scissors, cut the tips on each side. So now we're going to go ahead and start getting those layers into place to shape our flower by separating each one at a time. Make sure this one goes pretty far into the pipe cleaner, as close to it as possible. And then you just keep doing that for each one of the layers. Sometimes your tissue paper will tear. If that happens, most of the time it's not really noticeable. So you can just continue with your flower the way you're doing it. So there's one side there. Now I need the other side. So I'll do the same thing. I'll just start with my first layer. Bring it up really close so that it can be nice and full. Then the next layer. And so on. Here goes the next one. I guess this one was pretty fragile. Stick it in there. And there's my next flower right there. So once we put our flowers together, we can just attach them like this, and you can make as many as you want. So I'm going to make a few more, maybe about 2 more flowers for my bouquet. So these are going to be attached just like this. I'm going to twist them, and these will be integrated or put together with your other 2 flowers that you make, so you can have a good amount of flowers to go right into your bouquet, just like that. So just gonna make 2 more of these. So once you have your other flowers here, you can go ahead and take a look at the arrangement that you want to put it in. So you can have like the reds on one side and the colorful ones on the other side. You can have multiple colors depending on the color tissue paper that you have. You can arrange them in a certain way that feels kind of interesting to you. I think I want all the colorful ones towards the center and my 2 red ones on the side here. And then I'm going to just attach them together towards the middle. I'm just going to twist my pipe cleaners just like this, so that they can all be attached together, and it looks like a beautiful bouquet. And it just depends on the amount of flowers that you want, but I think I just want 4 for mine. If you want to keep making some more, or if you have a bigger can, a bigger foil can, then you can just add some more. But I think 4 is enough, and it's good to fill in mine here. And I think that looks really wonderful just with 4. So I'm just going to stick to 4. And now we're going to move on to our decorating part for the tin foil. So now we're going to go ahead and draw our image onto a white sheet of paper. This is just regular copy paper that I'm using here, and I have measured it to fit this area here. So depending on the size of a tin can that you have, you can just kind of cut the shape of that piece of paper according to the size of your tin can. And it just needs to be kind of like a rectangular shape. That way we can have enough room to draw our butterfly. We're going to be drawing a butterfly here. And then we're going to be transferring it over to our tin can with our oil pastel. So let's go ahead and take our sheet of paper, and what we're going to do is we are first going to fold it in half, and our butterfly is going to be drawn out just half of it first. You can use a black marker. Okay, so right underneath that half circle there, we're going to draw kind of like a half oval here. And we're going to complete it by drawing the rest of the body for the butterfly right towards that area there. And right in between here, we're going to bring the wing all the way up, almost to the end of the paper. We're going to curve it and bring it back towards that little segment. And for the rest of it, we're going to just curve that area there and bring that section there. And just to add some detail in the wings, we're going to bring these lines out here. And we can even do some maybe curvy lines in this area here. And just a little design right along here. We can also add our antenna. This is our half of our butterfly so far, and when we open it up we still need to draw the other half, but in order for it to be symmetrical, what we'll do is we'll need to trace this area here first. So just fold it the opposite way, and you can actually see it really clear. And if you go to a window and place it against your window, you can actually trace it a lot easier because it shows very, very clearly on your window. So what we'll do is just trace it in there as best as you can, following the lines. Just like this. Okay, so once you have traced that area, now you can open it up, and since we're using a black permanent marker, when you open it back up again, you can actually see the full butterfly. So once you have that butterfly image on there, now on one side of your paper, you can see both sides very clearly. So on either side, you're going to go ahead, or the side that you can not see it really well, you can actually add the oil pastel, and you're just going to go ahead and apply a thick coating of your oil pastel all over that area. Because what we're going to do is we're going to put this butterfly onto our tin can, and when we trace it with a pencil, our image is going to transfer over to our tin can because of that layer that we're adding with the oil pastel. So now that we have added the layer on the back, we can still see our butterfly here. And what we're going to do, oftentimes your tin can will have like a little end here. So we don't want to put it over that area. We actually want this to be towards the back. So I'm going to just flip it over towards the back. And I'm going to place my butterfly here. Just kind of center it, making sure that the back side is right behind it. And I'm going to tape it so that it's not moving as I trace it along. So I'm going to get 2 pieces of tape here. And that's probably all we'll need. Just going to try to center it as best as I can. Hold it down. Tape it on one side. And tape it on the other side. Okay. So now with our pencil, we're going to go ahead and press nice and hard. And our image is going to be transferring over as we are tracing. So let me just show you what this is looking like here. So I've already traced that circle and the little antenna. So when I keep tracing it, just gotta make sure that I press nice and hard with my pencil. And what I'm doing is I'm just kind of rubbing on the line so that I can have a sharp image to work with. So let's go ahead and trace it in. Make sure that you press nice and hard and trace it in as best as possible. Oh, I just noticed I missed some lines here. So I can add those lines as I go along. So that and that line. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill that area in. I'm going to go to the other wing and do the same thing. And then finally the rest of the body and the rest of the wings. Okay, so once it's fully traced, we're going to go ahead and remove the tape. And we're going to reveal our beautiful butterfly. So there it is. That's a great technique for transferring images. And I see that some lines are not very visible on there. So I'm going to go ahead and trace it over with my black marker, just so that I can see it better. Especially in the areas that are not very visible with the transfer that we just did. Alright, so once you can actually see your butterfly to its full shape and all your lines are on there, we can go ahead and start adding some permanent markers. Make sure they're permanent, otherwise they will rub off. And we're going to color it in with our permanent markers next. So let's go ahead and start coloring next. So as you're coloring it in, try to use some color symmetry. Since we're making a butterfly here, Just try to stick to the same colors on the side as you do to the side, just so that our butterfly can stand out very nicely and creates a beautiful balance in our beautiful picture here. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to follow the colors that I use on the side of the wings. I'm going to use them on the side. And it's better to use the thick part of your marker. Don't worry about your marker kind of getting out of the lines just a little bit. If that happens, that's okay, but not too much. Try to stay in the lines as best as possible. And try to just color everything in very nicely using those colored markers as best as you can. Because it's a round shape, it'll be a little bit more challenging or a little bit more difficult to color in those areas, just because the can, the little vase that we're using for our flowers, is going to be curved. So just try your best when you're coloring it in. Okay, so for the rest of my tin can, I'm going to break up the spaces that I still have without any color in them. So you can actually just do the butterfly by itself, or you can break up the area or just create a nice beautiful background with flowers. It's really up to you how you want to have your background. If you like that silver tin can effect, then you can just leave it as is and just focus on your butterfly. But if you want to break this area up, you can just do it with some lines, or like I said, you can add a beautiful background with some flowers in here or something. So it just depends on you. I'm just going to break it up so that I can add color in each one of these sections. So now I'm going to take my markers and fill these areas in with my permanent markers. So as you guys keep coloring it in, just be careful not to be touching the areas that already have color in them. It's better if you kind of hold your can with your hand inside and just kind of be flipping it around or holding it by the areas that you have not added color. Otherwise, this is what will happen. Your fingerprints will be marked onto the surface of the areas that will already be covered. So make sure that if that happens, you can always go back with that color you were using and color it in again. Just cover it up, and I see a little bit of the red here too, where I got some of my fingerprints on there. Okay, so that's always there's always a way to cover those areas up if that happens. So just keep coloring the whole entire area towards the back if that's what you chose. Next step, we are going to do a layer of the black nail polish to outline every single line that we made, even the background lines here that you see. But before we do that, you have an option. You have an option to add some beautiful colored nail polish over the colors that you have already added, and it's just going to bring up and make your colors stand out even better. And it's also going to add a layer over the surface that is going to protect the ink from coming off. So if you want to do that, you can actually do this next step that I'm going to do with the nail polish. If you do not want to do the nail polish and just move over to the black, then you can skip this step and just forward this video over to where I start adding the black outline. So that way you guys can see how I'm going to use a paintbrush to outline my beautiful butterfly and also the lines on the background. So let's go ahead and start adding some nail polish. If you don't want to skip this step and if you do want to do the nail polish, we're going to go ahead and do that next. So for my nail polish here, I'm going to start with some colors that kind of reflect the colors that I have previously used. So in this case, I have some of this red. Forgot to shake it. Let's shake our colors really good to make sure they're nice and fluid as we add them on there. And as best as I can, I'm just going to add some of that, the nail polish, and just carefully and evenly add it onto my, if I get a little too much, I can always steal some of that and bring it over to other areas. So we have big chunks or big little puddles of that nail polish, just kind of grab from there and move over to other areas where it needs it. So it can be nice and even and solid. One solid coat. That's all we need. So I'm just going to go in there and apply it as best as I can with my little nail polish there. So I've added some of that nice almost sparkly red and there. You can actually see the difference when I add the nail polish on top of the color that we had already used. So this area is actually protecting the ink, and it's also making this color stand out much brighter and more intense because of the ink that I had previously added. If I wouldn't have added ink and would have just gone straight onto the foil, the color might have not been as strong and beautiful as it reflects here. So you can actually experiment with that too. Just go straight into the foil. Let me show you what this would look like if it goes straight into the foil. So that's what it looks like there. You can see that kind of has a not such a bright or intense color as it does here. So it really alters the color and makes it stand out better. See, the color is even a little bit different. And that's this color here. So it just does really make a difference, as you guys can see. So that's why we added the ink first, and now we're adding the nail polish right on top. So we can actually do that for our areas, wherever it is that we want it. Now there's also some that only have glitter in them. So if I just want glitter in some of these areas, I can go in there, make sure that I get plenty of it. And again, it'll seal my previous ink color. It'll protect it with that shiny gloss that I'm adding there, and also it'll be sparkly because of the glitter that it's already embedded into the nail polish. So that's why we're going to be using the nail polish, those of you who want to use the nail polish over it. And so it It really makes it stand out, gives it a beautiful effect. So I'm going to go ahead and add nail polish. If you come across a nail polish, for instance, that is either drying up or not too, oh, that's pretty good. Let me see here. I think I have this one here. So if it's kind of like this, where it's kind of gooey and you can't really work with the nail polish, what you can do is you can add some of the nail polish remover, and you can actually use a little squeezy like this, get a little bit, and just add it inside. Just a few drops in there, not a whole lot, and we can mix it really well. So if you notice that you need a little bit more of that nail polish remover in there because it's still too sticky, you can always add a little bit more with your dropper and see how it starts to become a little bit more workable for your project. So let's shake it up real good. And it just depends on how dry. Oh yeah, that's much better. So you can actually see how even on my nail it goes much smoother than the way it was, which was just kind of sticky and really drying up before. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this one here too. Alright, so we're gonna take our beautiful butterfly here and start adding some of those pretty colors. I think I like this one here for this area. It's very similar to it. Now if I didn't want to have a solid color, I could have just gone into my glitter and applied a coating of the glitter nail polish, but I do like this color here, so I'm going to go ahead and add this one here. Just make sure that your strokes are nice and solid so you can have a beautiful even butterfly. And just keep in mind to do symmetry on both of the wings as you're going along. Let's shake up those nail polish before you start using them. Alright, so as you guys can see, I have used the glitter nail polish on the butterfly only. I wanted to have that nice sparkle showing and to make it stand out from the rest of my background. So I did not add any sparkle or glitter nail polish on the background, just on the butterfly. So that's definitely an option, that if you want to just have certain parts showing with the glitter, that would be even better because it's going to stand out very nicely. Final step, we're going to take our paintbrush and we're going to use it instead of the brush that's already into your nail polish. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove this brush here, and I'm going to be using my paintbrush instead. This is also something that you can replace, but if you choose to use the regular brush that's already on there, you can definitely use it. I just like to have a much finer line as I'm going into my detailing. So I'm going to go ahead and start to outline it. With my paintbrush. And that's what we're going to do for our final step. So once you are all done, make sure you guys cover up your nail polish really well. And if you want to remove the paint from your brush, you're going to have to use some nail polish remover. So make sure you guys have some of that available for you guys to clean your brush, and that way your brush can still be useful. Alright, so the only thing that we're missing now is our flowers. So once you guys have decorated and painted your beautiful vase, we can move on to the next step, which is just the final addition, the flowers. So we can go ahead and put them inside, and they stay very nicely in place into your flower vase. So this would be a great centerpiece, a gift for somebody, Mother's Day gift. You decide what you want to use it for, or just for fun. But here are my flowers. Okay, and here is the beautiful vase that we just made. Alright, so hope you enjoyed this project. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for some more. Thanks.